foster care and all that kind of stuff. And it's been great. It's been great talking to everybody. And I think that when you have a topic like that too, it helps because they're not really trying to crush you as much when you're when you're talking to them about kids who need families and homes and that kind of thing.
Right. Yeah, they have to be careful with letting their piece of shit claws out. Now, you said that your experience with adopting 3 kids started out as a nightmare.
Yeah.
Like, how did it start out as a nightmare?
Well, it goes into it. You have friends that join the military, and when they're in high school, they think they're really tough, and they're like, yeah, it's going to be awesome. And then they go to boot camp, and then they're like, oh shit, this is really hard. And then they get on top of it, and then they're good again. You know, but they have to go through that transition of like, oh man, maybe I'm not as tough as I thought I was, and then they get tough.
So you never had any kids.
I never had any kids.
Had a dog. You've done the dog thing.
Did the dog thing.
So you know how to take care of in a very small way. I had a friend who said that to me. So I'm like, well, I've had a dog.
Oh, yeah.
He's talking about having a kid.
I've heard that a lot.
I'll fucking kill you with a rock. You better not compare the two. That's so stupid.
Yeah, and we went from 0 kids. And you kind of think, well, I babysat my sister's kids and that kind of thing.
Long?
And that's
a movie.
Question
they went to a whole movie.
Yeah,
2-hour movie.
And even what happens is you go. So for us, we had a really interesting experience where we went to an adoption fair, and that's in the movie. It's a real thing where because their budgets are stretched so tight that they'll have these outdoor events. Not every county has them, but LA County has them, where they'll bring a bunch of kids that are in the system and a bunch of prospective parents, and they'll just have like games and stuff going on. It's a really bizarre event, and we went, and you're there to meet kids, to meet your kids, and so we went there, and we didn't want to have anything to do with teenagers because just because we were scared. We thought we're not ready for that. We just want to find like some cute little kid that we can
help out.
And then the teenagers are all off to the side because everybody's afraid of them. And it's the most heartbreaking thing you've ever seen because they know why they're there. Like, they chose to be there, and they know that everybody's scared of them.
Right.
So I was there, and I was like, oh, my God, this is the worst thing I've ever seen. And we ended up sort of inadvertently meeting this teenage girl and her brother and sister. And they just seemed cool, and they just seemed like really good kids, and just scared. But we wrote them down on our sheet, and just, again, not what we what we had planned on when we did this, but we wrote them down on our sheet, and we went home knowing they were going to match us with them because no one else was going to put them down. And we get home, and we find out, yes, you've been matched with these kids, and we're like, okay, here we go. We're going to have a teenager.
How old?
They were 16, 13, and 11.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So we're kind of wrapping our heads around this over the next couple of weeks. And we got to a place where we were like, okay, we can do this. And then we got a call from the social worker, and she said, it's not going to work out with them. They've been in the system for 4 years. The girl, she's really holding out hope that her mom is coming for her. So she's refusing the placement. And so we tried to, and I was like, when you hear that, it's so, just the same reaction you guys just had. So my wife and I wrote a letter to send through the social workers, just saying, hey, look, we get it. If you guys just want to come and just do the foster thing, or however you want to do it. And we just sort of sent the letter off. We didn't hear anything, and then she came back and she just said, yeah, it's not going to happen. And then she very matter-of-factly just said, but there's these other 3 kids, and those kids are my kids now, who I love more than anything in the world.
Really? And that's how in that conversation
it was just like, there's these other 3 kids.
Wow.
And we were like, oh, all right. And you want there to be, or I shouldn't say I wanted there to be a certain amount of randomness, like when you have, biological kids, you don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
And going to that event where you're sort of like meeting kids, and it feels weird. And so when she said there's these other 3 kids, we said okay. And then they turned out to be younger, 6, 3, and 18 months. But I never forgot meeting that girl and her brother and sister. So when the time came that we were going to make a movie about it, that was the genesis of the Lizzie character.
Right.
I wanted to make sure there was a teenager in this movie because they're so misunderstood. And in the process, I went out and met with a bunch of families that had adopted teen girls, and then met with a lot of those girls, some of whom are grown up and some of whom are still, with their families. And And this is the thing, you know, the scariness that we're all talking about. Every one of these families that I met with, just great stories, like amazing, great stories, like hard times, you know, trying to make that connection and whatever. But everybody with the same story, wouldn't have it any other way, changed our life for the better, met these incredible kids, and this is, and now I'm yammering. But
no, you're not yammering at all.
Okay.
How old are they now? How many years have you had them?
Almost 7 years. So my son Johnny just turned 13.
Wow.
My daughter's 9, and my other son is 8. And
how long was it between the phone call of like I had these other 3 kids and you actually getting them in your house?
God, what was it? It was a couple of weeks because there was
A couple of weeks. That's it.
Yeah, no, it wasn't long at all.
Whoa.
But it was because they called and they said we have these other 3 kids, and then there was going to be a meeting because they won't tell you much about the kids until they really sit down with you, and then they kind of walk through like here's whatever trauma, here's whatever kind of so. And again, they don't. In our case, they don't have all the information obviously on their past, so
right.
They can kind of tell you like here's how they came into
what
the
they
system
know.
and that kind of thing. So I wasn't able to go because I was at a work thing, and so my wife went to the meeting and I was like listening to it, and I was on speakerphone in the meeting, and and there was this one moment, and she's telling us everything, and there's this one moment where she slides the picture across to my wife and says, "Here's a picture of them," and there's this long pause, and my wife goes, "Oh, they're cute." But they didn't sound cute by the inflection in their voice, and you're trying not to be you're trying not to be that guy, that
so you're like, wait, what do they look like?
Yeah. but you don't want to be shallow about it. I mean,
sure.
kids are kids, and you're going to fall in love with them regardless. But everybody wants to think their own kids are cute, whatever. So it was funny. And then when I saw the picture was just a weird, bad picture of the kids. Like my son, who was 6 at the time, looked like he was 11, and he looked like this. It was just the look on his face and whatever.
Looked hard.
Yeah, he looks hard and a little.
Yeah.
And we go over to the house, and these kids are adorable. So this is, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. So we have the meeting, and we go, okay, we're going to go meet with them. And just to be clear, we didn't say okay because of the picture, because the picture was kind of like neither here nor there. We were just like, all right, let's go meet these kids. So we go to the house, and these kids are adorable, and it's the weirdest thing ever because you go to this foster home where they live, and you play with them for like 2 hours. And when do you ever play with any kids for 2 straight hours? Like actually actively play with kids, especially kids you've never met before.
Sure.
So it's exhausting.
Yeah.
And it's weird. And we touch on this in the movie that I was really scared when we were getting there because I wanted so much to walk in, see these kids, well up with tears, know it's for real, know these are my kids, and just have that like cosmic connection moment. And that didn't happen at all. Like
it's more weird, right?
It's
like,
so
who are
weird.
you? I'm gonna live with you.
Yeah. And well, the little kids are just kind of like, it's actually weird in the other direction. They're so used to kind of being passed around that they're just kind of like, oh, okay, who are these people now?
Right.
Wow.
And so we get in there, and then the foster mom in our case was like, go to your mom and dad. And I was like, oh, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't say that,
Slow your roll, lady.
Because it just felt so obtrusive to the kids,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we would go there every day for 5 straight days. We would go there when the kids were off school, and we'd go and play with them first in the backyard, and then you take them to the park, and then you take them to the park, and you take them out for ice cream, and you're just kind of like getting to know these kids that are strangers.
Did you try to change their names?
Yeah, first day. As soon as we walked in, I was like,
You're Mike now.
No, we didn't do that.
But the little one wouldn't even know, though, dude.
Yeah,
A year
that's
and a
true.
half.
That is true.
That is true.
No memory.
You know what?
This
A lot
memory-
of people do. In fact, a lot of the older kids that sort of have that will want to change their name, not just their
for a
last
new
name.
fresh start.
Yeah, that they'll just want to,
Yeah.
And
Really?
I thought, yeah. I
makes
don't have
sense.
any experience with that, but I've heard that sometimes
Wow.
kids will choose to. There was a young lady that was at the screening last night who her picture is at the end of the movie. She's in Ireland getting her PhD right now. This girl that
Wow.
these people adopted out of foster care, and she's amazing.
Yeah.
And she had chosen to change her name.
Yeah, I mean,
And,
that seems like it would mean something.
Yeah, now that I think about it, it just seems, changing a name
Yeah.
is, especially as a teen. But I mean, I get it if you're saying like, I want to put everything in the past.
Yeah, you
Let's
want
start
a
over.
fresh start. Really lock it down. This is the new me.
Right.
This is my new
I'm Kobe
life.
Bryant. I used to be number 8. I'm 24 now.
Well, and that touches on something that is really difficult when you're doing this as an adoptive parent, is that you're trying to walk this line all the time where you need to claim these kids for your own. You need to be the person who's like, you're with us. Like we're with you. We got your back. We're behind you. Like you need to do that. That's what these kids don't have. This
Right.
thing that we all take for granted.
Right.
That we have these parents that love us no matter what knucklehead things we do. So you're trying to do that, but at the same time, you're trying not to impose your world on them because they're coming into it with their own personality and their own,
Right.
culture or whatever it is that behind them. So you're always trying to kind of be careful and walk this line between just completely bringing them in, but not trying to change them into who you are.